dobber in die potholes. Johannesburgse strate het vanaand golwe. Gryp jou sweeftuig, jou styf vas. Plons, plons, stamp en swaai. Nog 'n as is oorlede. Arme ou Helens, hulle het met 'n glimlag getuimel in 'n slag het geval wat diep genoeg is om binne te swem. Kameras flits oral, sy het gewaai net soos 'n koningin. Rugslag in die pad gedoen, asof dit 'n oortoneel is. Die deur is heeltemal gekraak en verkrummel, die baanlyne het verdwyn. Jy het 'n bergreddingsspan nodig, wat net 'n rad oorskakel. Daar is taksies wat sink uit, ontwyk soos 'n slalom afdraande weddering. En elke reënerige middag word 'n waterpark skande. Straatligte flikker, robotte dood, duisternis dans oor hoofse. Oor die krag op wekkers gons, nog 'n kragonderbreking het uiteindelik gekom. Ons dobber in die slaggatte, plons deur die pyn. Probeer om nie in nog 'n somerreën te hidroplaneer nie. Dobber in die slaggatte, lag net om te hanteer. Sing deur die chaos terwyl ons aan 'n tou hang. Kan enigiemand die roep hoor? Voordat die hele ding begin ineenstort. Die treine ry nie volgens skedule nie, want die kabels is almal gekraak. Hospitaalplafonne lek terwyl die waglyne dik word. Elektrisiteit is 'n gerug wat 'n uur per dag verskyn, dan verdwyn soos touwerkrag wanneer die rekeninge betaal moet word. Intussen drink politici skemerkokkies by die see. Konvooie vlieg verby die skades wat nie die fooi kan bekostig nie. Die mense jaag eindeloos vir brood en gemoedsrus, terwyl beloftes van die parlement nog moeiliker word om te vind. Raadsale, hoeke, parlement, skelms en blinkklere. Safers wat stil maal, wonder hoe dat gebeur het. Ons dobber in die slaggatte, dryf deur die vloed. Probeer ons vaardigheid bo die stygende modderhou. Dobber in die slaggatte, alle klere langs mekaar. Swart en wit en bruin, saam op hierdie hobblerige rit. Almal voel spanning, dans kaalvoet in die reën. Die gangsters dra ontwerperspakke, of kruip weg agter amptelakke stewels. Sommige dra geweer, sommige dra stemme. Sommige glimlag net en maak hul kele skoon. 32 lang jare verby, vra die mense steeds, hoekom? Vryheid moet nie verval beteken nie, of skraap net om elke dag te leef. MKC, emancipasie, mense roep, red dan die nasie. Vryheid van die eindelose gierigheid, vryheid beteken die mense lei. Ons dobber in die slaggatte, maar ons het nog nie verdrink nie. Het steeds ritme, het steeds vuur, het steeds onbetaalde skuld. Dobber in die slaggatte, sim hard en duidelik. Miskien as ons genoeg skree, gaan iemand hoor. Johannesburg verander, swembadens en strate. Dans op ineenstortende ritmes. Ons gaan steeds op een of ander manier voort. Suid-Afrika, ons het jou nou nodig. Plats, plas, stamp, stamp. Nog 'n band wat loskom, maar die musiek bly aanrol.
Marvin Divine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations. faces, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Sunday, May 17th, 2026. Good day, folks. 2026. All right, did a sound check. It sounded pretty good there. Welcome back to the program. It's Chris, live in Central Pennsylvania. How are you doing? How's it going out there? Welcome back to everybody from around the planet who's watching the program today. To all the hate wankers here to steal content. Good luck with that. Not a good idea to steal people's content. And if my sense of humor hurts your feelings, well, you know, there's other things to watch. Millions of people watch other things, so feel free to do that. Welcome back to all the OGs, all the new arrivals, and all the, well, I guess you're starting to become not OGs, but long-termers if you've been here since February of last year, since the announcement of the refugee program. Talk a little bit about that today, a little bit later on, but this is not a refugee session. I'll do that on the road on my way down to Maryland for an event with South Africans that I'm attending this afternoon, all right? So much going on here. So much going on. Busy, going 85 directions, but we'll get as much done as we can here to help as many people as we can. Dawn says your son dislikes Afrikaans music, but who convinced him? Well, thank you for that, Dawn. I mean, the songs are kind of cool. Some people don't like them because they're artificial intelligence, but you know what? When you have no musical talent whatsoever, what are you supposed to do? Hey, Willem, what's going on? All right. Okay, let's get to the news, ladies and gentlemen. This Sunday afternoon, this is the Sunday edition. We're early because I'm on the road after this, and then it'll take me about 2 hours to get to my destination of driving with crazy weekend traffic. It'll be crazy heading down towards D.C., and that's the direction I'm headed. So, hey, Pearl, what's going on? How you doing? Welcome to the chat. For all the people who've been sending me notes recently about interviews, I appreciate it, but this is a very busy time. Even when I'm home, it's busy. And so I'm trying to go through them. I had a colored gentleman who said he wants to do an interview. I have Utopi's daughter and a whole bunch of other people, and I'm not blowing you off. I do appreciate it. It's not that I don't respect you. I do appreciate it's the Maroon Cunt. Stellis. Matkis. The Maroon Cunt. Anyway, so I got this at the Varsity Cup Championship last year, which they lost to Ikes. That sucks. Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing my best. It's a lot. It's an awful lot. So thank you for being here on a Sunday to join me and spend your time with me. Let's get to the news, folks. It's been a year since Eskom has had any official load shedding. But of course, they continue load shedding in the term of load reduction. When the load reduction, whether it's load shedding or load reduction, it means you have no electricity. You have no electricity. So they can disguise it any way they want, but South Africa's government is still failing. Eskom says South Africa has reached a major energy milestone after recording 365 days without load shedding for the first time since 2018. Now, the author here, Simon Majidabui, correctly puts the milestone in quotation marks because it's not a milestone. The utility announced the milestone in a media statement on Saturday. At 0001 today, Eskom delivered South Africa 1 full year without a single second of load shedding, a milestone last achieved 8 years ago in 2018. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just explain something to you. When you have to say that it's an achievement that you didn't fail to deliver electricity or that you shut down parts of the grid, when you have to say that's an achievement, you are living in a failed state. You're living in a collapsed state. If your country has to say, hey, we didn't have to turn off the electricity to prevent the grid from collapsing for a whole year, this, ladies and gentlemen, means that you live in a failed state. Wow. Unbelievable. Eskom said the sustained reliability of the past 3 years had saved $26.9 billion in diesel costs and ensured it successfully met 100% of the country's electricity demand. I don't know how they saved $26 billion when they spent more than that on diesel in that time period. Somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Hey, folks, would you like an update? Would you like an update? I mean, it's probably the good time for this, right? We'll just give you an update here. So let's see if I can find this very quickly here. No, it's not there. Darn it. Darn it. So I'm going to have to get elsewhere. I was not prepared for this. I was all ready, and I forgot to get this out because I closed some windows. Let me go look here, see if I can find this. Come on. Let's come a little faster here. Be nice. Suno is getting slow because so many people are using it now. Here it is. Yeah. Here you go. So I have some news, an update on Mel Fillon. Yeah, remember Mel?
a plan so grand, thinking they'd be the royalty of this palm tree land. They thought the glamour and glitz was theirs for the taking. Like a birthright claim, all the moves they were making. From the roar of a Ferrari to the red soul stride of Christian Louboutin, they had nowhere to hide. Oh, the world figured out those schemes and those scams, turned the power couple into quiet little lambs. No one wants them now, the party's gone dry underneath the hot and heavy Florida sky. Don't defraud America, the lesson is plain, or you find your lifestyle going down the drain. They went from fine dining and vintage champagne to a plastic tray and a heavy iron chain. It's a long fall from grace, a bitter old breeze, from high-end fashion to mac and cheese. Shoplifting doesn't pay, didn't they know? Now they're stars of a very different show. Poor old Pete is locked up in alligator Alcatraz, lost his designer suits and all of that jazz. And Mel's sitting tight, looking out through the wire at the Broward County Ice Facility. The situation is dire. You can take the huckster out of South Africa, it's true, but the scheming stays stuck to them like glue. Will they be convicted? Will they be deported? All their golden dreams have been well and truly thwarted. Time will tell the ending, but the moral is clear. Don't bring your rackets and your swindles round here. No, don't defraud America.
Mel and Pete. Mel and Pete. Got an update on Mel and Pete. Finally made it to America. Today marks day 17. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. 17 days late. Thank you for your membership for 6 months. Appreciate that. Yes, folks. Mel and Pete. An update on Mel anyway. She can be deported voluntarily now. Mel Fillon has been granted voluntary departure by a U.S. immigration judge, allowing her to leave the country at her own expense. But the problem with that, ladies and gentlemen, is she has crimes to answer for in the state of Florida. Her return to South Africa remains uncertain due to pending shoplifting case in Florida and the possibility of an appeal by U.S. immigration authorities. Her husband, Pete, is also seeking voluntary departure. Both face delays if prosecutors and immigration officials challenge the court's decision. How much you want to bet she finds someone new to be hanging out with? Embattled reality TV personality Mel Fillon's dreams of returning to South Africa received a boost this week when a U.S. immigration judge granted her permission to leave the U.S. of her own accord. Excuse me. Her dreams of returning to South Africa? Her dreams? I think that would be a nightmare. She and her racist husband, by his own declaration, not my words, his words, not my words, his words. Yeah, they are not welcome in South Africa, and wait till they get there. Oh my goodness. Hi, David Moiter. How you doing there? Good to see you. Ramaphosa is not giving up. Nope. He's going to take the Stalingrad approach. According to insiders in the ANC, he will seek an urgent interdict to halt the impeachment process. This man needs to discover justice. President Cyril Ramaphosa is intending to interdict the Pala Pala impeachment proceedings against him, the Sunday Times has learnt. As Parliament moved ahead this week, the first steps to launch a process, sources close to the Ramaphosa indicated an interdict was central to a strategy to stall MPs, at least until the court had reviewed the Section 89 panel report that is the center of the impeachment drama. So you're going to tell me what's going on here? So he's now trying to circumvent the Constitutional Court by getting a lower court to look at the basis for the Constitutional Court saying he had to go forward. This guy is no different than Jacob Zuma. Gangster city indeed. Gangsters indeed. Well, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa's government can ill afford to waste money down ridiculous schemes that don't work. But that's exactly what they do. And they enrich cadres who now sit in luxury mansions, and they use this process to impoverish and weaken minority South Africans. 80 billion rand pissed down the drain for South Africa's failed public transport system. Yeah. The Department of Transportation announced that it's effectively pulling the plug on South Africa's bus rapid transit network. Despite investments totaling over 80 billion, that's not investments, that's corruption. Those are corrupt payouts to cadres. Over the past 2 decades, the Department of Transport and the BRT said the BRT had failed to attract requisite commuter numbers. Only about 152,000 passengers are reported to use it nationwide daily. That compares with 8 million who use combis and other road-based transport. In an interview with 702, Ria Valles, director of service promotions, Benny Makogo, said between 15 and 20,000 people use the services daily. This is despite the service operating over 200 buses and 63 stations across its various routes. At the moment, we spent $16.8 billion for all the infrastructure on the stations and depots we've created. The monthly operating cost is mainly the fee per kilometer that we pay for contracted services, which would be between 30 and 40 million more rand pissed down the drain. He defended the system against a more popular combi system, explaining that it was intended to integrate seamlessly into a larger public transport system. But it's not worth the cost. Department of Transport's admission to South Africa's BRT failure has drawn serious criticism for perceived lack of proper planning and spending oversight by the government. Surprise, surprise. The organization Undoing Tax Abuse, CEO Wayne Duvanaga, said South African taxpayers had not received value from the BRT equivalent to the investment put into it. When you think about how long this has taken and where we are today, these BRT stations are empty. These routes have been long in the making and putting together. Road infrastructure improvements are not being done at time. 20 years now this has been going on. We're not getting bang for our buck. No, you're being fleeced because the money's going to caters. More money stolen, more money pilfered, more money wasted. South Africa. The Democratic Alliance's Jordan Hill Lewis, the new leader of the DA, has been getting a lot of phone calls. His phone is ringing off the hook. Where are these calls coming from? Members of Parliament. From his caucus? No. From the ANC, desperately seeking the DA to protect Ramaphosa. Davi Bunzai reports Jordan Hill Lewis was inundated with calls from ANC politicians and business leaders. They wanted to shield the Pala money laundering accused, Cyril Ramaphosa, from impeachment. He rejected the appeals, insisting the DA would be guided by facts and constitutional duty. I was called on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even on Monday. He said the repeat appeals shared a common thread that it would be too risky to remove Ramaphosa now, given the uncertainty of what his possible successor. Now, it's too risky to allow someone who's credibly accused of money laundering, kidnapping, torture, defeating the means of justice, the ends of justice, and lying on police reports, as well as perjury before Parliament. It's more important to remove a credibly accused person who faces those charges. Never mind the 5 terrorism cases he's facing in the United States for his role at MTN. The Democratic Alliance apparently persisted with payments to politicians to top off their salaries, which may be illegal. No. Hey, Dan, how's it going in Wyoming? I always take questions after the news. Always. Not sometimes. Legal opinion issued last year warned salary top-ups paid to senior party members could be illegal. The Democratic Alliance continued paying salary top-ups to serving cabinet ministers and senior party leaders, despite receiving a legal opinion warning that the practice could contravene the Constitution and the Executive Ethics Code. Confidential documents seen by the Sunday Times show that advocate Michael Bishop advised the party in September last year that payments to members of the National Executive for party work could violate Section 96, Paragraph 2, Subparagraph A of the Constitution, which prohibits ministers and deputy ministers from performing any other paid work. It is impossible to advise authoritatively on whether paying members of the executive party work is lawful or not. The issue is debatable until it's considered by a court. The legality of receiving the payments will be uncertain. Well, who's getting the money? Well, a number of people are getting these top-ups. 2 categories. The first related to payments for specific party work, including campaign management and policy responsibilities. The second category is a top-up or equalization payment linked to a member's role. John Steenhuisen received monthly top-ups dating back to at least June 2021. The payments increased over time, reaching $58,344 a month between April and June of 2024. So let's just deal with that. You ready for this? 58,000. All right, so it's June, April. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. It's 10 months. January, February, March, April, May, June. 15 months. 15 times. You ready for this? Okay, we're going to do the math here real quick. I have to make prepared videos. 15 times 58,344 Rand equals 875,000 extra payment. Now that's on top of his parliamentary salary. John Steenhuisen received an extra 875,000 $875,000 on top of his parliamentary salary, plus he's a minister, he gets a top up for that from the government. That's legal. So his salary, which is what, 1.6, 1.8 million a year, got an extra 875,000 rand. And during that time frame, he couldn't pay his credit card bill of 150,000 rand. 150,000 rand. He made 875,000 rand and didn't pay his credit card bill. He had it go to court and a collection action taken against him. This is South Africa's white Minister of Agriculture who can't pay his bills. Did we miss something here? Did we miss something here? I'm sorry. Can somebody tell me, did I miss something? Feel free to let me know. What have I missed here? Am I mistaken? Uh-oh. We're not working here? What's going on? Not getting enough data. Hang on a second. This is happening again. What's going on here? I think I'm being messed with here. Let's see. Okay. Download speed's good. Upload speed's good. Must have been a glitch. It's fine. I don't know why it said it wasn't enough data. Okay, there we go. Did I miss something? 875,000 extra rand. And he couldn't pay down his 150,000 rand debt on his credit card. And he had his party card suspended. Now, apparently there was a glitch here and I wasn't getting data through. So we're fine now. I mean, what did I miss? Somebody, please let me know. What did I miss? Did I miss something here? Am I being overly sensitive? If I'm being overly sensitive, please let me know. I'll be happy to clarify that. Yeah, we lost, wow, 50 viewers because of that glitch. Wow. So John Steenhuisen got an extra 58,000. But then they reduced his payment after he joined the cabinet. It was reduced to 39,560 per month. So he still got that after he became a cabinet member. Wow. The plan was that was supposed to equalize his remuneration with that of the deputy president. Why? He's not a deputy president. DA, MP, and head of policy Matthew Cuthbert received $50,000 a month from April last year for a position previously occupied by a salaried party employee. Wow. Former mayor of Tshwane, Cilliers Brink, received $62,386 a month after the party requested he remain in the Tshwane Council rather than return to Parliament before the elections. Chief Whip George Michaelis received 9,053 rand a month to compensate for the difference between his parliamentary salary and what he received as chief whip. Umgeni Mayor Chris Pappas received 44,609 a month from October last year after the Federal Finance Committee approved the payment on appeal. Ultimately, my view is the court will conclude that these payments are permissible, but I cannot express that view without any great confidence. Whether they're permissible or not, they raise all kinds of ethical questions. What is the DA doing here? Wow. So John Steenhuisen got 875,000 extra rand over a 15-month period and couldn't pay his credit card bill. Wow. Police have arrested the grandmother and grandfather as they're searching for a 2-year-old Umpile in Limpopo. This lovely young child missing. Umpile Sithole, kidnapped from her home Saturday, May 2nd. 52-year-old grandmother, missing 2-year-old Umpile Sithole, who was allegedly snatched from her bed in the early hours of Saturday, May 2nd, have been arrested along with the child's grandfather for alleged child negligence. The pair were arrested on Friday, May 15th. They're arrested by members of the Mokopane Family Violence, Child Protection, Sexual Offense Unit. The disappearance has shocked communities across the country. Limpopo Police spokesman Colonel Masalela Ledwaba said the grandmother reportedly woke up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom, taking her with her before returning to bed. She woke up at 6 a.m. The toddler was missing and the window of the room was broken. Family members and neighbors immediately launched a search, but the child could not be found. So they've been arrested for negligence because someone broke into their home and kidnapped a child. She was wearing a pink jersey and black tights. Why have the grandparents been arrested? It appears they're being arrested for negligence. Mommy had no legs. A 4-year-old boy traumatized after witnessing Aaron Motsalady's official vehicle mow down a family. Beauty Chaparai, 37, was carrying her 15-month-old baby on her back when she was struck by a vehicle while she was attempting to reach an accident scene where her husband, Pul Mavuri Masuni, had just died. A 4-year-old boy is struggling to process the deaths of his mother and baby brother after witnessing them being killed. The woman who had her baby strapped to her back were hit by Health Minister Motsoaledi's state vehicle. The mother and children had been trying to reach the scene where her husband had just died. Within minutes, 2 brothers witnessed their parents dying meters apart. A 14-year-old watched his father being struck by a car. Then his 4-year-old brother saw his mother and baby brother killed by Health Minister Motsoaledi's official vehicle as they tried to cross the road to reach the scene of the first accident. Now the younger boy keeps asking questions his family doesn't know how to answer. Mommy had no legs. Are the doctors going to fix her? Where is my brother? Wow. On Saturday, May 9th, Beauty was carrying a 15-year-old and struck when she attempted to reach the scene where her husband just died. Her brother, Charles Chaparai, said Beauty, her husband, along with 3 children, had gone to a bus station in Bella Bella to travel to Zimbabwe. While waiting for the bus, Masuni and the 14-year-old had gone for a walk to a nearby hitchhiking spot. On their way back to the bus, Masuni had tried to flag down a car, dropping someone off. However, in the process, he was struck by another vehicle in front of his child. According to the police, the car that hit was driven by an off-duty police officer. Charles said the hysterical 14-year-old boy who noticed his father was unresponsive then called his mother to tell her what happened. He's young, he didn't know how to deliver the news, and sadly, none of us have sent my sister into a state of trauma. She disembarked the bus, which was not far, and tried to get to the scene. Beauty, with the baby strapped in her back and a 4-year-old boy in hand, tried to cross to get to the scene where her husband's body was lying. She was hit by a car, a state vehicle driven by protection services transporting Motsoaledi. Charles said somehow the 4-year-old boy managed to get away unharmed. However, the boy remembers the state of mother's body at the scene and talks about it with his extended family who are caring for him. He also asked questions about the whereabouts of his younger brother. He keeps mentioning his mother had no legs. We try to gently explain that he will one day see his mom, but he tells us that's not true. He also asks where his brother is and if we can fetch his brother from the doctor because he misses him. A tragedy that's preventable. Informal settlements built along highways and people illegally crossing the road. Yeah. What a horrible situation for a 4-year-old boy to see his mother have her legs ripped off of her body in front of him. Losing father and mother the same day, these Zimbabweans. This is... Look, I understand how this happens. I've driven from the Vanderbijl Park, the Val Triangle, back to Joburg, and there's informal settlements on both sides of the road, and these people cross the road with vehicles going 120 kilometers an hour, and they're not paying attention. This is why I don't drive at night there. It is a tragic situation. So sad to see. Truly horrific. Truly horrific. Heartbreaking. No child should suffer such trauma. No child should see such things. South Africans are buying $15 million homes. Ooh. In a tiny seaside town where the average monthly salary is just $21,400 a month. Where are we talking about? Well, ladies and gentlemen, Veldrift, or Velledrift, in the Western Cape. Located 145 kilometers north of Cape Town, Veldrift has become one of several West Coast towns attracting buyers looking for a coastal lifestyle within reach of the city. It sits in the Berg River estuary and is known for its fishing industry, marina developments, and bird life. Property prices range from under $1 million for vacant plots to as much as $15 million for high-end waterfront, beachfront homes. According to Pam Golding Properties, local area manager Samantha Nell, it's considered relatively affordable compared to nearby coastal towns, although demand has started pushing prices sharply higher. It's in the early stages of growth. There's a picture of it there. According to SARS, they have 9,494 registered taxpayers with an average taxable income of $257,000 a year, or $201,000 a month. Significantly lower than the Western Cape taxable income average of $29,000 per month. Town appeals to a broad range of buyers, many of whom are motivated by lifestyle considerations rather than proximity to major economic centers. Tracks mixed but lifestyle-driven are my viewers from Veldrift here today, the Mybergs. Town has fewer than 4,000 homes, but several developments and infrastructure projects are expected to support further growth. One of the most significant planned projects is the new Corinus Bridge over the Berg River, which is expected to be in construction in 2027. So there you go. You can see there's going to be houses built there for sure. For sure. Well, those pictures won't come up. Shame. Yeah, in a riverbed. I wouldn't buy in a riverbed either. Well, the South African runs a comical story. You have to wonder if this is like The Onion. It's supposed to be a joke. Anchor baby. Afrikaner refugee gives birth in U.S. American or Amerikaner? The first South African refugee baby was born in the U.S. this month. Here's what to know. A South African refugee couple is accused of having an anchor baby born in the U.S. after their arrival earlier this year. News comes after the first anniversary initial grouping of Afrikaners who settled in their adoptive country last year. The group, as well as others who have followed, claim to have been racially persecuted back home, and she uses quotations. This came after President Trump issued an executive order geared to assisting white South Africans he believes are facing a genocide. Speaking to YouTuber Chris Wyatt, speaking to university lecturer, speaking to counterintelligence agent, federal law enforcement official, speaking to retired intelligence officer, speaking to university lecturer, speaking to published author Chris Wyatt, not YouTuber, a South African refugee named Wade revealed that he recently welcomed a baby boy with his partner. Wade, who works at a truck dealership in Nebraska, bragged that his son was the first refugee born in the U.S. Baby born. He arrived in February and now lives in Yankton, South Dakota. Wyatt joked, "Is that an anchor baby? Now we can't get rid of you?" So then the author launches into birthright citizenship, trying to explain to people what birthright citizenship is. Is this a joke? Is this intended to be funny? First off, number one, it's obvious that I was joking, as Wade heard, and I heard, and everyone in the audience heard, that anchor baby was a joke. All right, and it's a play on illegal immigrants who come here to intentionally have children, which I explained even on the show, but not mentioned in the story. Second, this child is not a refugee. The child born here is an American citizen. That is an American citizen. Wade and his wife have a child that is an American citizen entitled to a U.S. passport and the rights of a U.S. citizen under the current interpretation of the 14th Amendment. Now, that may change, but when it does change, it shouldn't change their situation because they're lawfully in the United States. The birthright citizenship question that Trump has raised is about illegals who come here to drop anchor babies and people who come here intentionally trying to scam the United States out of citizenship. That would not apply in their child situation. This is what passes for journalism in South Africa. An anchor baby. Wow. So, see if there are any comments on this thing yet. No comments. Okay. My videos continue to draw attention from... Oh, there they are. The Mybergs are here. Good to see you, Petra. Didn't see you there before. Yeah, not the first baby. I don't know who the first baby is. I don't know. But I can tell you that those born here are not refugee babies. They may be babies of refugees, but they're not refugee babies. They're American citizens. The United Rugby Championship season is over and the playoffs begin on May 30th. The quarterfinals, the top 4 teams will host quarterfinals. And 1 is in Scotland, 1 is in Ireland, and 2 are in South Africa. The bottom 4 who qualified after the Lions lost yesterday, leaving them in the exact same spot they started today, 7th after finishing 3rd just 2 weeks ago. 5th through 8th. So first 1 through 4 is Glasgow, who will host their quarterfinal if they continue, a semifinal, and ultimately if they continue they'll host the championship game in Scotland. Leinster, who will host a quarterfinal and a semifinal, guaranteed if they get that far. Then come the Stormers, who choked away their final 2 weeks of the season and wind up in 3rd place instead of top of the log where they should have been. The Stormers finished the season with 12 wins, 1 draw, and 5 losses. Rather disappointing finish to the season for the Stormers, who are likely to be bounced out in the semifinals, if not in the quarterfinals, based on their pathetic play and their lack of discipline. The Bulls, who are looking strong, will be hosting Munster, the 5th place finisher, at Loftus Versfeld on the 30th of May. They can beat Munster at home. Although they lost to them in an important game in the past, they can beat them at home. And in the current form they're in, they should advance to the semifinal. And then, in the semifinal, the only way that they will host the semifinal is if both Glasgow and Leinster lose. The Stormers will host Cardiff, a team they lost to this past weekend in Cardiff. They'll host them at DHL Greenpoint Stadium on the 30th of May, and they can beat them there, and they better beat them there. But then the Stormers can only be guaranteed a semifinal appearance if one of those other 2 teams loses. Munster will play the Bulls, Cardiff will play The Stormers, the Lions will play Leinster, whom they lost to last week in Leinster, which is where they lost. And Connacht, which made it into the playoffs, will face Glasgow. But Connacht is in good form, so Glasgow may be facing a challenge here. My rugby channel is called Rugby Ascendant. Well, there's a super chat. Thank you, Sharon, for the 14 Rand super chat. A Grateful Ockers demands quarterfinal improvement as Bulls sweat over 4 injured players. 4 of the Bulls are injured. Kane Moody, Rowan Nortkia, Cameron Henneken, and Devin Williams all nursing niggles. Johan Ackerman said he was hopeful that a 2-week break would give the players time they need to recover. He was desperate for them to put in a better performance in the last 2 weeks to stay in the competition. Yes, they won this weekend, but it was not impressive. The break for the Challenge and Champions Cup should help the South African sides. Bulls are looking forward to a 2-week interval between matches. So, Rowan Nortkia finished the match with a heavily strapped ankle. Kane Moody cried off with a shoulder injury, and Hannacum had unspecified injury. Williams having started the match with a limp due to someone treading on his foot. So, but the Bulls are looking better than the Lions, who were looking great until 2 weeks ago, and now they've collapsed. U.S. and Nigerian forces killed a top Islamic State leader. Joint operation. Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad ibn Ali al-Manouki guided Islamic State on matters relating to media operations. Born in Nigeria in 1982, they also led Islamic State fundraising operations. The operation killed him, which took place in Lake Chad Basin, was a major breakthrough in ongoing efforts to combat terrorism, extreme and violent extremism. U.S. and its allies for years have been killing top leaders of Islamic State and Al-Qaeda. Officials recognize a new militant step in to take their place, but argue that repeated decapitation blows weaken insurgents' ability to plan, finance, and carry out attacks, which is true. Just keep taking them out. Gunmen in Nigeria kidnapped dozens of students in Borno State. No group has claimed responsibility. Gunmen have kidnapped dozens of school pupils in Borno State, northeastern Nigeria, where Boko Haram fighters have carried out similar attacks. Armed attackers stormed Musa Primary and Junior Secondary School in the Askira Uba local government area at 9 a.m. on Friday. Mohammed Ali Dumi, a senator of northeastern Borno State, told the French press agents that local officials say 42 children were taken. Other officials say it was between 35 and 48. 17-year armed rebellion from Boko Haram. The World Health Organization has declared an Ebola outbreak a global health emergency. Just a day after the outbreak was announced, cases were confirmed in the capitals of Uganda and the DRC. Wow. No vaccine for this strain. By Saturday, cases have been confirmed in Kinshasa and in Kampala. The outbreak is first identified. 246 suspected cases and 80 deaths attributed to the virus have been reported. Declaration of public health emergency of international concern signals a public health risk requiring coordinated international response. In Ituri province, 246 suspected cases have been reported across 3 health zones. Tedros, the director of the World Health Organization, said Friday the organization first notified about suspected Ebola case on May 5th and sent a team to Ituri to investigate. The spread of the outbreak to the capitals of Congo and Uganda could pose a challenge to public health workers because infectious diseases can spread more rapidly in dense urban settings. Duh. Thank you for that insight, New York Times. Not a good thing. You were worried about hantavirus? Worrying more about Ebola. Iran's seizure of a Chinese security ship shows its favors for friends do have limits. The action near the Strait of Hormuz occurred the day the Trump-Xi summit began in Beijing. Iran seized a support vessel owned by the Chinese security firm near the Strait of Hormuz, appearing to signal it's unwilling to permit armed protection even for ships sailing on behalf of its strongest global backer. It was the first known seizure of a private security vessel since the start of the war. It also came at a sensitive time. Owner Sino Guards Marine Security said Iranian authorities impounded the ship Thursday. So, the sea ship, the Hui Huan, was sailing under the Honduran flag and had been at anchor just outside the Strait of Hormuz, 38 nautical miles northeast of Fallujah in the United Arab Emirates. Wow. Sino Guards provides armed guards to protect ships sailing out of there in 5 other locations in Asia and Africa, according to its website. Yet the Iranians have seized a security vessel. What kind of security vessel gets seized by the weakened Iranian Navy? Oh my goodness. There is a vaccine, but not for that variant vodka model. There is an Ebola vaccine, but it doesn't cover all variants of the filovirus. Israel and Lebanon have extended their ceasefire by 45 days. The U.S. brokered ceasefire, which started April 16th, is set to continue after 2 days of productive talks between the neighboring countries. We hope these discussions will bring advanced, lasting peace between the two countries, full recognition of each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, and establishing genuine security along their shared border, said State Department spokesman Tommy Pigott in a statement released 2 days ago. Well, we shall see. A drone strike by the out-of-control theocratic Mullah regime in Iran sparks a fire near the United Arab Emirates nuclear plant. A drone strike set off a fire in the UAE's nuclear power station, according to the Persian Gulf state. UAE didn't say who launched the drone, but said the strike caused a fire at the electrical generator outside the inner perimeter of the Baraka nuclear power plant, 175 miles west of the capital, Abu Dhabi. Radiation levels were normal, and the nuclear station, where 4 reactors supply 25% of their power needs, continued to operate. The attack comes amid fresh threats by President Trump to take military action if Iran doesn't agree to a peace deal. Quite frankly, I think it's time to take action against Iran for its effort to cause a nuclear conflagration by attacking nuclear power plants. What a dunderheaded move by the Iranians. A train crashed into Bangkok traffic, killing at least 8 people in Thailand. A freight train plowed into traffic on train tracks, starting a fire. The authorities did not immediately give a cause, but said the barrier had not come down. The train hit a bus just before 4 p.m. local time, setting off a crash with cars and motorcycles and sparking fire that engulfed some of the vehicles. All 8 of those who died were on the bus, according to authorities who said that 32 other people were injured. Not really clear what caused the crash, but it was horrific. There's the bus. Oof. What a tragic situation. What a tragic situation in Thailand. At least 8 people are hurt after, well, what are we going to call him? We're not going to call him what the media calls him because they're lying. At least 8 people hurt after car rams in a crowd in Italy. The 31-year-old driver, an Italian national who lived in the area, was arrested. That's correct. He is an Italian national. But look what they say down here, a little bit further down. At least 8 people were injured on May 16th when a car drove into a crowd in Modena, Italy. 4 victims were in serious condition on Saturday, including a woman who was pinned against a shop window. The wounded woman had to have both of her legs amputated. The driver intended to cause harm using his gray car in the shopping section of the city that's located in the northern part between Florence and Venice. Witnesses said the driver tried to flee before locals attempted to stop him until police arrived. He brandished a knife after he climbed out of his car. The 31-year-old driver was identified as Salim El Khudri, a second-generation Italian who lived in the area. No. He's not an Italian. Salim El Khudri is not an Italian. He is an Italian national, not an Italian. There is a distinction between the two. An Italian national. The UK anti-immigration protest in London draws attention and lots of police presence. Far-right activist Tommy Robinson gathered thousands in London, urging them to get involved or lose their country forever. This is from Deutsche Welle. Prime Minister Keir Starmer denounced Robinson's Unite the Kingdom march for peddling hate, division, and plain and simple. The government barred 11 people described as foreign far-right agitators from entering Britain to address the protest. Wow. Census data showed that 6.5% of the people in England and Wales identify as Muslim in 2021, in just a decade, up from 4.9%. Wow. The invasion is complete. The takeover of the United Kingdom continues. Rival protests take place in London with a major security effort. 4,000 police officers deployed. Marching through central London, tens of thousands of far-right protesters wearing Make Grit and Braid Again hats and draped in union flags demand support for their culture and an end to migration. Police said 4,000 officers, as well as helicopters, armed vehicles, and drone teams were deployed. The scale of the operation was unprecedented in recent years. Protesters carrying flags and banners began arriving early in the morning as they made their way along London streets to the meeting points for the competing marches. And here are the Palestinians who have no business whatsoever in the United Kingdom rallying for their Nakba. Organizers said it stood united against Tommy Robinson and the far right. The rally was organized by a coalition of groups including Palestine, Solidarity Campaign, Stop the War Coalition, and others. and was joined by a Stand Up to Racism group opposing Mr. Robinson's march. Protesters carried signs declaring it's not a crime to stand against genocide. Stop genocide. Well, stop lying about genocide. It doesn't exist. Asana Begum, a Labour member of Parliament, spoke and told the crowd there were differences between the two marches. We know that the far-right marched because their solidarity with the Palestinian people threatens their cause. What is their cause? We will not be divided with the far right. We will not go quietly while crimes against humanity continue or are committed with impunity. Well, go back to Palestine then and fight there then. Many people in the march appeared to be as focused on British politics as they were in the Middle East. Several carried signs that said, "Stop Racist, Reform UK." Both London demonstrations took place against an increasingly tense political backdrop. So how much did the British government spend in trying to suppress freedom of speech over the weekend? 43 arrests after £4.5 million were spent in this police operation. More than 4,000 police officers deployed in the capital to manage the so-called sterile zone between the rallies of Tommy Robinson and the pro-Palestinians. Nelson's column was surrounded by metal barriers, police officers from Wales, and riot uniforms to prevent anyone from getting from the National Gallery to Pall Mall and Regent Street. Every year, pro-Palestinian protesters hold a march on the weekend closest to 15 May to mark the Nakba, the displacement of Palestinians who fled or driven from their homes during the war surrounding Israel's creation in 1948 and 49. What they forget about the Nakba is that the Arabs attacked the Jews. They began murdering Jews in 1948. And the Israelis fought for their existence. And as a consequence, the cowards fled to Transjordan and to Gaza and to neighboring Jordan. The cowards fled after they were defeated after, in the dark of night, murdering Jews and attacking them in 1948. They forget that. They celebrate their cowardly fleeing from Samaria and Judea, to Samaria and Judea. Well, people should not always interfere with nature. And here, I've got to get the door, folks. That's my key for the elections. Be right back. Hang on. Sorry about that, folks. So I'm a judge of elections, and where we hold the elections at a local church, and one of the gentlemen from the church brought me the key so that I can open it up at 6 a.m. for the elections. So that's what that was. Who's there? That is the gentleman from the church. So my field handler. No, it's the gentleman from the church that I can actually open the church up on Monday and Tuesday. Right. Messing with nature. A humpback whale was stranded on the shores of Germany, and concerned citizens got involved, and private efforts paid a fortune to get this whale into a cargo ship, which was flooded and then taken out to sea and released, only for it to beach itself again and die. A humpback whale found dead this week off a Danish island has been identified as the animal released 2 weeks ago in a spectacular and contentious rescue effort after repeatedly becoming stranded off Germany's Baltic Sea coast. The dead whale was stranded on Thursday just off a small island of Anholt in the Kattegat, the broad strait between Denmark and Sweden that connects the Baltic Sea. It's 70 kilometers from Skagen on the northern tip of Denmark, where the whale has gained the nicknames Timmy and Hope, was released on May 2nd after being transported towards the North Sea in a barge. It can now be confirmed that the stranded humpback whale near Anholt is the same whale that was previously stranded in Germany, was the subject of rescue attempts. So they spent a lot of money to save this whale, only for it to beach itself again. The Baltic is not a normal place for whales to be. Why it was there in the first place, whether it's trying to commit the S word or what was going on, who knows. Venezuela has extradited a billionaire tycoon to the U.S. The extradition of Alexander Saab, tied to a huge graft scheme, is part of a purge of powerful figures who helped the deposed President Maduro stay in power. Scandal-plagued billionaire tycoon close to Venezuela's deposed president was extradited to the United States on Saturday. The extradition of Alex Saab, a Colombian-born businessman whose U.S. prosecutors have accused of enriching himself through lucrative government contracts, marks the escalation of the purge of Venezuela's new acting president, Delcy Rodriguez. She is targeting figures who helped keep Maduro in power for more than a decade. Ms. Rodriguez, who was Mr. Maduro's vice president, rose to power with the Trump administration's blessing after U.S. forces captured Maduro in January, fired Saab from his post as industry minister shortly after Maduro was seized and taken to the United States. She and her government detained Saab in early February at the Trump administration's request. Wow. The 54-year-old landed in the U.S. This is his second time in the U.S. prison. At the request of the Biden administration, he was detained in 2020 in Cape Verde while traveling to business to Iran. Extradited the U.S. and spent nearly 2 years in prison for money laundering charges. Biden pardoned him, who received a hero's welcome from Maduro on his return to Venezuela in a prisoner swap. So Joe Biden pardoned a guy who was doing business with Iran. Yeah, there's Joe Biden. There's Joe Biden. International Energy Agency is wrong to forecast coal's demise. Ladies and gentlemen, coal still gets burned in record amounts. The world is burning more coal now than ever, reaching a record of 8.85 billion metric tons consumed annually by the end of 2025. Since 2020, annual coal consumption increased by 1.4 billion tons a year, which is mostly because of China. China consumes 55% of global coal. Wow. U.S. only 5%. So, coal is not going away. Coal is still king. For President Trump, soaring prices test voters' finances and patience. For me, my patience is being tested by the New York Times for running this bogus story. Just months before another election that may hinge on the economy, the war in Iran has sent gas and other goods soaring. Not soaring. Not soaring. Gas prices have gone up. Energy has gone up by less than 20%. That's not soaring. Joe Biden doubled the price of gasoline in less than a year. That is. Swept into power by voters who are frustrated by the nation's economic trajectory, President Trump promised in August to bring prices down. Americans are racking up more debt, families are saving less, and a key measure of consumer confidence dipped to an all-time low this month. The anxiety has bled into recent political polls, which have registered broad public disapproval of Trump's handling of the economy. The heart of the matter is the war with Iran, which sent the average gallon of gasoline to $4.52 nationally, according to AAA. It's more than a 40% jump from a year ago, an uptick that's cut across the global economy. Thing is, that is bogus because I don't pay $4.52 a gallon in Pennsylvania. We have the second highest gasoline tax in the country, so that doesn't make any sense. But I'll take their word for it. Yes, prices are higher. Well, Donald Trump claims a victory against the scumbag, treasonous, reprobate, piece of human sludge. Bill Cassidy will no longer be a senator from the great state of Louisiana. Thank goodness. What a retard this guy is. Louisiana U.S. Senate primary election results. Senator Bill Cassidy, at odds with President Trump, is fighting to keep his seat. Well, not anymore. He's done. With over 95% of the ballots in, Julia Letow, that would be President Trump's hand-picked opponent, got 45% of the vote. John Fleming, a state public official, got 28%. And Bill Cassidy came in a distant 3rd%, not even getting 100,000 votes. So he is out. You can see that only in the New Orleans area did he get any votes. Bill Cassidy got 40% here, barely beat her. She almost beat him even there in Jefferson Parish. Only in New Orleans did he win big. He won 8,000 votes to her 3,000 votes. So Baton Rouge, he won there as well, but barely. Barely won those three. And then here you see that Letow, 63%, 64%, 60%. Everywhere else, she's around 50%. So, yeah, she just took big time. In the Democratic primary, Jamie Davis won, but this is a predominantly Republican area, and the odds are that that seat will go to Julie Letow. Not guaranteed, but Bill Cassidy is out. The scumbag who voted to impeach President Trump is out. Cassidy loses his primary as Trump vanquishes another GOP foe. Senator Bill Cassidy, two-term Republican who voted to convict President Trump in 2020 impeachment trial, took a veiled swipe at Mr. Trump, saying power should not focus on one individual, nor should it focus on your sorry ass. Good riddance, you piece of crap. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana on Saturday lost his Republican primary and a chance to seek a third term after Trump targeted him in retaliation for voting to convict him in his impeachment trial 5 years ago. In a result that underscored the durability of Trump's grip on his party, Representative Julia Littau, the president's chosen candidate, finished well ahead, drawing about 45% of the vote. The state treasurer and former Trump administration official edged out Cassidy, finished second. This means that Littau and Fleming will advance to a June 27th runoff, and the top vote getter will go on. So, Cassidy's impeachment vote opened what turned out to be an irreparable rupture between the president and Mr. Cassidy, which extended to many of his constituents back home. State Republican Party censured him. Trump has spent years since blasting Cassidy and vowing to oust him, and now he's been ousted. Good riddance to a piece of human sludge. Well, I've told you about the spies here for China, mostly ethnic Chinese or Chinese nationals, but also some Anglos, some white Americans also betraying this country with treason. Well, here's a mayor in Arcadia, California, who betrayed this country. California mayor's guilty plea reveals China's infiltration of the U.S. Wang is far from the only asset to embed herself in U.S. institutions. We should be looking very closely at the mayor of Boston, Miss Wu. Arcadia City Council member and former Mayor Eileen Wang attends the Asian Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So a spy for the Chinese is inducted into the Asian Hall of Fame. I think the Asian Hall of Fame ought to be disbanded. A guilty plea by California mayor has exposed Beijing's campaign to use domestic elections as a way to shape political outcomes in the U.S. Eileen Wang, mayor of Arcadia, California, was charged with acting as an illegal agent of the Chinese Communist Party. She agreed to plead guilty to the felony count and face a maximum of 10 years in prison. Ken Wu, vice president of Los Angeles chapter of the Formosan Association for Public Affairs, said China will continue targeting U.S. city and county leaders as primary infiltration objectives. Wang was elected to the council in November 2022 and was mayor when federal charges were filed. She could face $250,000 in fine. Frank Tian-Zi, a professor of business and marketing at the University of South Carolina, said the case is a stark warning to U.S. society that rival powers are increasingly seeking to shape domestic political outcomes. This means the threat from China's regime is no longer just across the Pacific, but it's at our doorstep. And that's because we've allowed all these bastards into our country. We've allowed all these bastards into our country. This is the CCP's most cunning tactic. They understand the United States operates on the rule of law and procedural justice, and they weaponize this framework to expand their influence in the country. While U.S. judicial and national security agencies work through their investigations, these agents use the process to cover their tracks and weaken the political system. Yep. The regime's behavior in the international stage has already reduced Americans' willingness to invest in or travel to China, but the incident also reveals flaws in the U.S. democratic system, which I believe the government will quickly close to prevent the recurrence. I doubt that. Yep. Chinese spies in our midst. Yep. Mostly because the Chinese have their families. Snippets. They have their families, and they threaten their families. And they also have illegal Chinese police stations all over the world. The one in New York, we just stopped and arrested that guy. Rival airlines are rushing to carve up Spirit's routes now that the Biden administration illicitly used the Federal Trade Commission to block the merger between JetBlue and Spirit, crippling the American low-cost market. And rival airlines are now sliding in to get the spaces. Breeze and Allegiant are moving into Spirit's former routes. Takeoff and landing slots at airports are up for grabs. Spirit Airlines' demise earlier this month threatened to turn Atlantic City into a virtual ghost town. At the time of the collapse, the budget carrier represents 75% of the airport's passenger traffic. But then, a day before Spirit shut down, the airport director, Tim Kroll, got on the phone with Breeze Airlines. Hours after Spirit called it quits, Breeze had agreed to fill nearly all of Spirit's routes. Breeze, Allegiant, and Frontier Airlines and other discount carriers are eyeing Spirit's former routes, serving small airports such as Atlantic City. Yep, the bigger routes in places like LaGuardia and JFK will be auctioned off in a bankruptcy hearing. Governor Landry, the special representative for Greenland, got my job. Governor Landry previews the first trip to Greenland. Landry anticipates talking business opportunities, possible medical support, and more in a visit involving State Department officials. In an exclusive interview with the Epic Times, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, the United States Special Envoy to Greenland, described his plans for an inaugural trip to the Danish territory, which is scheduled for May 17th through May 20th. His trip will be confined to Nuuk, the capital. Describing the visit as a trade mission, Special Envoy said he hoped to explore mining, tourism, and seafood, as well as possibly an American healthcare initiative to address tuberculosis, hepatitis D, and other issues in Greenland's small and scattered villages. Interesting. So apparently, Landry is the guy. It's not me. Landry is the guy. So if you were hoping for a new viceroy of Greenland, as I was, in the form of me, that just isn't happening. So apparently Jeff Landry is the special envoy, not the viceroy of Greenland. Congratulations to him.
The Viceroy of Greenland.
That'd be Jeff Landry, not me. President Trump says that the White House ballroom will open around September of 2028. China has a ballroom, and so should the USA. It's under construction ahead of schedule and will be the finest facility of its kind anywhere in the USA. His announcement marks the first time he's provided a specific completion date for the $400 million ballroom. Largely privately funded project replaced the demolished East Wing, had construction crews building the ground floor this week. National Trust for Historic Preservation, an anti-American scumbag racist organization, sued to halt the construction of the 90,000 square foot structure, citing a lack of public review. U.S. Court of Appeals for District of Columbia Circuit Court granted the administrative stay, allowing above-ground and below-ground construction to continue pending further hearings. Wow. Well, this is an odd spot for this. Hang on a second. That's not supposed to be there. Let me move that to the right. Oh, no, that's the right spot for it. So statisticians in the WNBA are undermining their credibility. Many, many times we see turnovers applied to Caitlin Clark when she delivers a perfectly timed pass and one of her teammates drops it when they should have caught it. They give the turnover to Caitlin Clark to diminish her statistics and make her look less effective than she is. The best, most popular player in the WNBA, who because she isn't a lesbian and she isn't black, is currently and repeatedly discriminated against by officials and by statisticians and by the WNBA themselves. The woman that made the WNBA. The only reason I would even watch a WNBA game is because of her. And because of her, I became introduced to Aaliyah Boston, a fantastic player, and Kelsey Mitchell, another fantastic player, both of whom happen to be black. And Sophie Cunningham and Lexi Hall. If it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, I wouldn't watch the WNBA. And I watch Indiana Fever, the only team I like, that I follow, because I don't like to follow a bunch of angry lesbians who hate men and hate white people. But they keep screwing this up. So, statisticians have cheated her out of 2 assists so that she couldn't set a record. Something strange happened in the Friday night matchup between the Fever and the Washington Mystics. Statisticians refusing to award 2 assists to Caitlin Clark, which stole historic achievement from her. With less than 6 minutes to go in the abysmal second quarter, Clark drove the lane, drawing 2 defenders, and then darted a wraparound pass to Monique Billings, who cashed a catch-and-shoot corner 3 to cut the Mystics' lead to 2. Some have claimed that the pass was slightly tipped, but even if it was, an assist can still count if the pass was slightly tipped, depending on whether the official score believes the original pass directly led to the basket, which it did. The second questionable omission was with 30 seconds left in regulation, a crucial play in the Fever's ferocious comeback to send the game to overtime. Clark raced up the floor with the Fever down 6, dribbling to the right of the arc, where she once again drew a double team, leading to a shovel pass to Kelsey Mitchell, who nailed a 3. The pass undoubtedly led to the bucket, yet no assist was awarded. Caitlin Clark was not credited with assists on either of these plays, leaving her 2 assists short of the 6th 30-point 10-assist game in WNBA history. It would have been her second such game, more than any player in the history. And of course, the racist, anti-white, anti-heterosexual WNBA can't have its best player be a white heterosexual, because, well, that would just ruin their love of all that's gay. So the WNBA, shame on you. WNBA's egregious Caitlin Clark mistake sparks outrage, as it rightly should. After a very slow start in Friday's game against the Mystics, Caitlin Clark eventually came alive with a dominant fourth quarter, putting up massive numbers. But scorekeepers at WNBA shorted her on the stat sheet in a big way. While the official scorebook lists her with 8 assists, video shows she actually had 2 clear assists that were not counted as assists. This needs to be corrected. This error needs to be corrected. WNBA scorekeeping is extremely wonky. I've seen them give Clark assists after buckets that come like 5 seconds after passes, and then not after direct passes like these. They also give her turnovers sometimes for on-target passes that get fumbled out of bounds. Robbery. They're stealing Caitlin Clark's assists. She wasn't giving her assists properly. She had a double-double. This looks egregious, erroneous stat keeping. Shows you how incompetent the WNBA is, still not correcting. Everyone, we need to flag these for the WNBA so they do a formal review and correct the box score. Exactly. Exactly. Can't have a heterosexual white woman being the top player in the league. Bill Gates has sold all his Microsoft shares, except he hasn't This is a misleading story. The Gates Foundation has sold all their shares, which is a big deal, but Bill Gates still owns shares in Microsoft. It's the source of his wealth, as does his ex-wife. A Form 13F is a quarterly report required by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission filed for all institutional investment managers who manage a portfolio of at least $100 million in certain equity securities. Latest filings showed the Gates Foundation Trust sold all its Microsoft shares, raising eyebrows, giving Gates strong ties to Microsoft. But Bill Gates hasn't gotten rid of his investment. This is the Gates Foundation. So they reduced it 2.74, then 4 point. So every quarter since 2023, they've gotten rid of it. In the third quarter of 2025, they got rid of 65% of their shares. And by the 2026, the first quarter, all their shares were gone. But no one reported on this until now. It's all public available information. What are the world's largest deserts, folks? Does anybody know who the largest deserts are? Let's say ask that question. What are the largest deserts in the world? Anybody know what the largest? Yeah, she has incredible talent, and she's so balanced too. Anybody have any idea what the largest desert in the world is? Somebody give me a shot here. Give me an answer here. What's the largest desert in the world? The Gobi, that's a good guess. The Sahara, good guess. But neither is correct. Anybody else want to guess what the largest desert in the world? Now you know. Aha! Light rain is correct. It's Antarctica, but you probably looked on Google, didn't you? Antarctica is the world's largest desert with 5.5 million square miles. The Arctic at 5.4 million square miles of desert. Then the Sahara at 3.5 million. The Arabian at 1 million. The Gobi, which is to 500,000. Patagonia at 260 million. Great Victoria Desert in Australia, 250 million. The Kalahari in southern Africa, 220 million. The Great Basin, 190 million. And the Syrian Desert, 190 million square miles. Nope, it is the Antarctic. Technically largest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let me show you the Hate America nonsense that goes on. This is the Publishers Weekly. A publication has been around for well over a century. I'm going to talk about them. Look what they suggest people read for America's 250th birthday. You ready for this? Books for Understanding America at 250 years. As the sesquicentennial approaches, authors re-examine the nation's history, or semi-quintessential, the nation's history and legacy. And here are the books I recommend. How Race Shadows a Nation's Adversaries. Jamestown, 1619, Plymouth, 1620, The Struggle for the Soul of America. 2 ships. Okay. The Chosen and the Damned, Native Americans, the Making of Race in the United States. The Original Sin. Freedom Around the Globe, World History of the American Revolution. Tyrants and Rogues, Understanding the Declaration of Independence. The Lost Founder, James Wilson. A Second Sight, How the Wonder and Vision of Black Media Makers Push America Toward Freedom. American Legacy, Reflections on 250 Years of the Disunited States of America. Country of Lords, Neo-Aristocrats, Social Darwinists, Tech Utopians, and Long Fight Against Equality in America. Stories in the Seams, A People's History of Black Quilts and Their Makers. Obviously, Let's Hate on America. Publishers Weekly, now in its 150th anniversary, is familiarly known in the book world as PW and the Bible book business. Nah, I don't think so. Not buying that. Sounds to me like a Hate America outlet. Expensive toilet paper, agreed. Namib might be the oldest desert, I'm not sure. Lots of people hate America, especially Americans. All right, that's the news for today, folks. Be sure to hit the like button if you haven't done already. We had 242 likes. Thank you for that. And a little bit of super chat revenue. Thank you for that. Faithful Farmer says, I think 28 will be J.D. Vance versus Gavin Newsom. Well, Gavin Newsom will not win. There are too many flaws in Gavin Newsom. He'll be destroyed in election. Luka Doncic. I don't follow the NBA. It's boring ever since Jordan retired for the second time. Paige Bookers is also good. Yeah, she's very good. Busy getting back at you for drinking that beer at the witching hour. That's usually my thing. No, nobody's paying for the. No. No, are you talking about the ballroom? No, the public is not paying for it. The Senate Republicans introduced a bill which the Senate set aside. That bill's not going anywhere. The public is not paying for the ballroom. Private donations are paying for it. Will we know by that time who will be in the new POTUS week? September 2028? No, we won't know. We won't know. We won't know by September 2028. Trump's predecessor. I don't think I can be Trump's predecessor. I'll always be your viceroy, Green. Thank you. Thank you, Trevor. Have you seen the video of an IT firm asking a North Korean spy to talk badly about Kim? No, I haven't seen that. Faithful Farm is a Democrat, and even I think the 2020 election was rigged for Biden. There was plenty of footage in the regulators to prove it was. It shouldn't be a partisan thing. We want re-elections. Yeah, agreed, Faithful Farmer. It was. And then all the lies. Well, Trump lost every case. Well, most of the cases were brought in courts weren't brought by Trump. They were brought by third parties, and they were dismissed for a lack of standing. And the media never tells the truth about that. It's like January 6th. They don't tell the truth. I was there. I saw it. I filmed it. I recorded it. I reported on it. And nothing but a passel of lies. January 6th. I use Suno for creating my music, Robert. I write the lyrics. I write the songs. And then I have either ChatGPT, which is better, or Gemini sex up my lyrics. And then I put it into Suno. Hi, Faithful Farmer. How are you? Enigma says you interrupt the news. What'd you interrupt the news with? Can't super chat because of no funds. Dude, nobody has to super chat. Okay, first off, this is what I ask of everybody in my audience right now. 266 people currently here. If 266 of you can get 3 people to subscribe to my channel, thank you. Thank you. Even if they don't watch the channel, thank you. Subscriber growth is infectious. It's how my channel grew so fast last year. I went from 20,000 to 35,000, 35,000 to 100,000. Then it slowed down again when the shadow banning kicked in heavy. And the initial interest after 5 months of the refugee program tapered off. Yeah, if you can get 3 people to subscribe to my program, that's great. You don't have to super chat. No one has to super chat. I've never asked a single person to super chat other than Ronaldo. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't even ask Ronaldo. I do appreciate when you do it. It's very kind of you, but it's even better rather than super chat if you send money to my PayPal. There's PayPal. If you want to help out the channel and help defray my costs, speaking of which, I've got costs today. I'll be spending probably about $70 in petrol today and $130 for a hotel room overnight. So $200 just to go down to attend a bride to South Africa who asked me to come down and talk to them. So that's a minor cost, a lot less than what I paid to go down to Orlando. And a lot less than I paid to go to Texas and elsewhere. So yeah, if you want to help out, that's great. Thank you. There's the way to do it, best way to do it. But you don't have to give me any money. I'm not asking for any money. I never have. Unlike someone else who's asking for money to start a halfway house, I'm not asking for your money. That's why I never started an NGO. I refused. People asked me, they begged me to start an NGO last year, and I refused. I am not going to play this game of asking people for money who don't have money. If you have the means, some people have money. I have some wealthy viewers. Sometimes they come through with nice super chats. Got a 3,500 Rand super chat a couple days ago. Thank you for that. It was nice. Oh, the doorbell sounds pretty good. Yeah, it's very loud. And everyone goes back normal Monday, says Bush Wookie. I think you're right. Can a drone strike cause nuclear explosion on those plants? EB, the answer to that question is if a drone strike damages the containment vessel, it can cause a cascade effect. And yes, it can cause a nuclear disaster. Yep. No, Ebola's never been brought under control. We don't even know the reservoir for it. We suspect it's bats, but no one has ever proven. We've never found bats that are transmitting Ebola. They believe it's coming from bats, but we don't know. We don't know. Ebola's never been under control. People are led to a false sense of security because traditionally Ebola's had 85 to 90% or higher mortality rate. If you got it, you were going to die. Almost nobody survived it traditionally. And those who survived were horribly scarred, their organs grievously damaged, their lifespans dramatically shortened. That's how it was. But then we had an Ebola outbreak in West Africa, which had never occurred before, in the Mono River region in Liberia, Guinea, and Sierra Leone. And that outbreak was a mortality rate of around 25 to 30%, which is a much weaker strain of the Ebola virus. So people have become lackadaisical about this. But no, Ebola has not been constrained. They also claim that we have a vaccine against it. Well, yes and no. The Lions can get their crap together and play like they get. Yeah, I hope they do, Vanner. Yeah, Glasgow and Leinster could be the final. Sharon, thank you for that super chat. And Carl, it's at Rugby Ascendant. Don Jans from Lindsborg, thanks, Colonel. Here's a question. We don't understand the Constitution. Republicans, Democrats, meandering all those meetings. We don't understand. Well, the Constitution is not that hard. It's not that hard to understand. It's not very complicated at all. But the Constitution has been amended many times since it's been established in 1787. Many times it's been had constitutional amendments. It's a rather short document, much shorter than South Africa's, but it's been misinterpreted by leftists and by people on the right for many, many years. Yep. I need to get this here, so I need to call these people on Monday. Okay, so. All right. Pam Golding's in the business selling overpriced houses. I agree. Wonder how after 1,000 years of Arab trade they saw the wheel, but for all their worth could not copy it. That's a good question, Tibet. Jacques Rubla, Colonel, I heard that in Macedonian schools apparently started restricting students from using their mother tongue. Which mother tongue? Serbian? The worst for me is the Department of Correctional Services have been found out by criminal fraud tenders that pay for food include. Yeah, 730 rand for a liter of cooking oil. Yep. Chavez Real, 25-year-old, can set you back close to 9. Wow, that's expensive. Missed when his beard was hanging to the navel. Duet says, Colonel knows more about South Africa than most South Africans. I respect the man greatly. It's just a shame he cannot grow a full boar beard. Are you serious? My beard was all the way down to my navel, man. What are you talking about, Duvet? It was all the way down to my navel. All the way down to my navel. Let's go back and find something from 2021. 2022. Let me see. Let me see. I don't know which video to find without going. Oh, I know. Maybe I can go all the way to the end. See if it takes me. No, it only takes me one. No, it doesn't take me all the way to the end, so that's not going to work. Shoot. That sucks. Well, I'm not going to go find it. But yeah, my beard was quite long. It was quite long. Yes, James Maddox, the Constitution was signed in 1787. It was enacted in 1789, and we initially served under the Articles of Confederation, which were loose and created a central power that was too weak. The states began competing with each other, restricting interstate commerce, creating their own banks. It led to a crisis. We had all kinds of issues. Joe Texas says it's jealousy. Well, lots of things are jealousy. What are we talking about specifically? Yes, petrol prices are going up again. You made a video about refugees being evicted. What does this mean for some people that still need to go to the USA? Oh, will you be deported? No. Oh my gosh. Okay. Seriously? Okay. Why would you be deported? Have you entered the country illegally? Have you committed fraud? Then you won't be deported. Refugees are granted status here. As long as you comply, if you didn't defraud the country, you didn't enter illegally, you're a welcome guest here. But you must file for a green card permanent residency at the 12-month point, which is what the 59ers are going through right now. You apply for that at that point, and at some point after that, you're granted permanent residency. You stay as a refugee. If after 5 years you wish to become a citizen, you can apply. If not, you stay here as a refugee until the conditions, the underlying conditions that led to you coming here are ameliorated. Why would you be deported when Trump leaves? I don't understand that question at all. People keep asking that question. I've answered it 30,000 times. Why would somebody think they're being deported? Why? Maybe I think you said Dunica or somebody said later on that they didn't understand our system. You won't be deported. There's no basis for deporting you. None whatsoever. You won't be deported. It doesn't matter who runs Washington, D.C. The Somalis are here. If their background checks were done, their vetting was successful, and they didn't actually commit crimes, they aren't going anywhere. But all their cases are being reviewed because there was no vetting on most of these people. But if they came here illicitly, either of their own volition or because they were brought here legally by the Biden administration, will be sent out. But you're not brought in here legally. All of you have an investigation. It's been done. It's been completed. And you've been let in. It's considered a safe risk. You're not going back. It's, gosh, I don't know why this question keeps coming up. But it keeps coming up. Same with the author of the book you read the cover. James Michener, Johann Bernard. Would what affect the credit score? 7. Yeah, you're not going anywhere. Not unless you do something wrong. And if you break the law, you probably won't be deported. You'll probably be put in prison here if you committed fraud. Okay, let me just cover this again. There are videos on this on my channel, and I've answered it on Refugee Cafe Clutches every damn week that I do it, which has been probably about 30 weeks over the past year. Your status as a refugee in America is predicated on a successful background and medical check of you and a basis for coming here. Those are the three things. You come here. You're a welcome guest here. You abide by our laws. You're good to go. If you committed fraud and lied about your status and about you being persecuted, it's discovered later on, you could be sent back for defrauding the government. Fair enough. We don't want liars and cheats. Number one. Number two, if the underlying conditions that granted you that status change, does anybody think that the ANC will remove 145 race-based laws or even begin dismantling? Do you think the Employment Equity Act, which restricts the number of white managers to 4.3%, is going away? No. Do you think the Basic Education Laws Amendment, which oppresses non-English speaking primary school students, is going away? No. Do you think that the expropriation without compensation, which is unconstitutional, that act is going away? No. Those are the basis for coming here. So you're not going to go back. There's no basis for you to go back unless you commit a fraud or we find out later on that you did something that warranted you not being here. If you commit a crime in America, you'll be prosecuted in America. You could be deported afterwards if it's egregious enough, but you'll be prosecuted here. You're not going anywhere. See, this is the problem with people that don't listen. And I'm not picking on Danica. This is not for Danica. This is not for Danica, so don't take offense. People don't leista. Leista alma. Mensa leista. Okay? The people being deported are criminals. They are criminals. Refugees are not criminals. Even if their background check wasn't done, that doesn't make them a criminal. That makes the Biden regime criminals. That makes the officials in the Biden regime complicit in crimes, not the people who came here. You are not going anywhere. The people being deported are criminals, illegals who overstayed their visa or entered this country illegally. That is being deported. Heinrich says people are being deported are the ones that entered. Yeah, exactly. Having a court order for a child who is not biologically ours. We have a court order for parental rights. Why would that affect your refugee case? If you have a court order saying you have custody of the child, how's that going to affect your case? Okay, all right. Please listen, Lilypod. Obviously, people are not watching my program. This is what's so frustrating for me. So frustrating. Okay, all right. Let's just see this. Start a poll. Okay, don't in the chat say who this is. I just want people to answer this poll honestly, okay? There's a poll there. Have you heard of the Stoltz family? Do not say who they are in the chat, okay? Have you heard of the Stoltz family? If you have, answer in the affirmative. If you've never heard of them, then tell me, okay? Please answer the question. 42 people have done so. I have 276 currently here. Yeah, maybe because that's Pearl. That's funny. Pearl, did you offer me an interview? I can't remember. I think you offered an anonymous interview, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so if your husband has to go to work for Zambia, would this have any effect on our case? No. Are you the primary applicant? Won't have any effect whatsoever. He's not living in Zambia. He's just gone there for temporary short-term work. Now, if he's applied, if you're the one that's eligible, you should just do the application yourself. All right. How many votes? 107 votes. Okay, now I'm gonna stop it there. Okay, the Stoltz family. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the Stoltz family. One of my mods, if you find that link to that video, would be great and put it in the post. The Stoltz family got rid of all the rumors and lies about the refugee program. Number one, he has a German passport, so he can go to Germany anytime and live there. Even though he's not born in Germany, he's born in South Africa. His grandfather came. He has a German passport by the right of blood return that they gave him. So he has a German passport. Werner does. He can go to Germany anytime, but his family can't. They can only stay for 90 days and they have to go back to South Africa. That's not relocating. So his family won't be safe. So he can't do that. So number one, he has a safe haven passport. So we've proven that people with safe haven passports. I know someone who's married to a Filipino. Filipino's a safe haven. That person came to America as a refugee because the primary applicant was qualified. So safe haven. Number two, they're not dirt poor. They're not rich, but they're not dirt poor. So it's not about poor people. Number three, they have adopted children. You can adopt children. Number four, their adopted girls are black. Number five, their adopted daughter, one of them has autism. So children with special needs can come. All of the lies and fairy tales about the refugee program were blown out of the water by one interview with the Stoltz family. They were just amazing. Amazing, 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 amazing. All right? So, yes, that's who the Stoltz family are. And back to the question about being adopted. I didn't catch what you said there. You said something about his 18 years of age. Well, this is a question I can't answer adequately because we've seen conflicting things happen. What I mean by that is that we've seen the following happen. We have seen that normally, in a normal situation, if you're 18 years old, you're an adult, you have to apply for your own case. However, they've been allowing South African families who have 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds, or 19 or 20-year-olds who are still in the household to be part of the nuclear family. They've been allowing that. Now, for someone who's adopted, if you've adopted that child, that's fine. But I'm not sure what you're saying. You're saying you have a court order saying you have custody, but you haven't adopted the child. That may be a problem. There's lots of blended families. So I don't know the answer on that one. Okay, let's Afrikaners have a problem with language here. A lot of Afrikaners confuse persecuted with prosecuted. Prosecuted is not persecuted. Prosecuted is not persecuted. Last night, I was reminded of this. I was watching the Brokenwood Mysteries when this idiot who speaks English, that's why he's an idiot, said, "Yeah, so I won't be persecuted for if I give you this information." And the cop said, "Tell us, we won't persecute you." So he told them the information, implicated himself in a crime, and then they're walking out of the hospital, and he said, "So I won't be persecuted." And he says, "No, you won't be persecuted. You will, however, be prosecuted for your crimes." Prosecuted is a criminal hearing procedure against you for committing a crime. Persecuted is different. This is about persecuted people, okay? And South Africans, Afrikaners, have a bad habit of saying prosecuted when they mean to say persecuted. Make sure you say persecuted. If you tell an American interview that you've been prosecuted, we want to know what crime. What crime? Well, Cool Beans is claiming that they've been prosecuted because they're white. If that's true, which I don't doubt, then the fact that they were prosecuted because they're white means they're being persecuted because they're white. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, guys. I will be on the road doing the meet and greet down there in Rockville, Maryland. But I will probably do a live from my car en route, just to do my Sunday cafe clutch will be in my car. I won't be able to read the chat, so I'll have my phone in the cradle, and I'll be chatting with you all. So anyway, I hope that's okay with you guys, okay? So we'll do this Sunday cafe clutch, which I haven't been able to do the past few weeks because I've either been on the road, literally on the road on a Sunday, or I've been doing rugby. So, all right? So we're going to do that, okay? Funniest thing, one of your Afrikaner interviewees said, "Time fleed." All right? All right, be sure to, yeah, it's Cool Beans, exactly, says the way I explain it. Well, I will drive carefully. Uns Afrikaners und uns Tal. Yeah, no. Yeah, it can be funny, Debbie. Anyway, next thing, you're going to hear people going to claim they're getting prostituted. So Alan says, since the 23rd of March of last year, I had the impression that what transpired between USCIS and I, that I didn't qualify the program. And here, yes, Alan, what did I tell you all along? I kept telling you it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine, it's going to be fine. There you go. Monray says, Birdie telling DA will not vote Cyril out if 3 seats given Deputy President Finance International. Well, I would. That's because all they want are seats in power. They don't care about the people of South Africa. That's all they want. That's all they want. So it won't be Johnny Boy Steenhuisen being the deputy president. That's going to chafe his shorts. That'll chafe his shorts. And we're still stuck. Well, that's because of your case. Yeah, that's probably why you are still stuck there, Cool Beans. Exactly right. All right, guys, that's going to be it. Doesn't mean you've been forgotten about. It just means we don't have control over your legal system. Everybody have a good day. Thanks for being here. I'm going to hit the road shortly. Hopefully by 12:30 I'll be on the road. Maybe sooner. All right, would be in 27 minutes. Take care, everybody, and I'll see you from the road a little bit down the way. Okay? Thanks for being here. Be sure to hit that like button. How are we doing likes now? We got 304 likes. Cool beans, okay? Prostitute is different than being persecuted, but you can be prosecuted for prostitution. Oh, you're still waiting. Also, Pearl, I'm confused. Okay, I knew somebody wrote to me. So it's confusing sometimes. That's my confusion, not yours. Thank you so much for that. We'll catch you guys later. All right, be well. Cheers.